Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HODLCast. Today we have special guest, Tim Wachowicz. How do you say your last name properly, Tim? We've known each other for years. I
You
know
got
how to
it. That's pretty good. You're pretty good. Wachowicz for the English-speaking types, but if you have a little Slav in you, it's Wachowicz.
Wachowicz.
Wachowicz. The W's turn into V's. There you go.
Oh, Wachowicz.
There you go.
I like that. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in today. Tim is one of my oldest friends now, and we met in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, when I was working there as a mutual fund wholesaler, and a good friend introduced me to Tim as a massage therapist, but it turned out, his practice is a really holistic approach, and he taught me so much about good health and just a good outlook on life and a way to view the world that has been very helpful to me to keep trucking in times of adversity, to know that there's something bigger out there, and that we're spiritual beings in a human experience. So I was hoping to bring Tim onto the show today, and he can share his knowledge and his happy vibes with everyone. So thank you, Tim. And maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit too.
Right on. No, it's an honor. I've been doing this for a while. Been practicing. Started practicing in 1990. So I've been doing this a little while, and we all go through our trials and tribulations. And part of this practice was to help me stay focused and on track. And as I've managed to have my own breakthroughs, it's always a pleasure to be able to share them with others so that they can maximize their own well-being and productivity and creating ultimately, and to live happily every day and not in a environment of resistance, which tends to be programmed into us as we enter this life and go through until we start realizing, some people may not have steered me in the best direction. And to live authentically, and to live authentically just means to live from your true self, the self that you started with, the self that recognized wisdom, the self that was free of programming, and to be able to listen to your inner being, or your heart, and a little more than your head. And the heart and the gut tend to hit the nail on the head, so to speak. So, and how often has your gut been right and your head been wrong? So it's just about being able to listen to your feelings, understanding the language of what your body's telling you, and how to listen to it with your heart, and then let your head do the work as to what you're going to do, the actions you may take to help evolve into the being you can be, and to be happy ultimately. Just to be happy. There's lots more, but that's kind of the bottom line. It's and I've been practicing martial arts for a long time, things like Tai Chi and yoga and for over 30 years. Crazy. But it brings well-being. Yeah, and I just implement it into my practice, and I show people how they can implement very subtle changes, more like invitations and not orders by any means. Love is an invitation, not an order. And when you feel desirous to be invited, it feels good to want to do something, especially when it comes to maintaining you, the most important person in your life, to be your own best advocate, your own best doctor. Nobody knows you better than you, so why shouldn't you have the first crack at it? And what comes with that is the understanding of A, the things you can do, and B, overcoming the fears that are put into us of people's good intentions to try to help us navigate through this life so that we can be happy and productive and feel good and go out and dance a little every day.
I love it.
Right on. That's kind of the basics. We can get a few little more out of there. I can get more specific, but there's all kinds of things we can do to make ourselves feel good, and in this time to boost our immune systems. And this virus, yeah, it's strong, but not to mention that, but it's strong in its own right, but it's a wimpy virus. And if our immune system isn't overwhelmed already, or we haven't been medically challenged, or medically compromised in some way, or fighting some other imbalance in our lives, we can have the immunity to take care of these viruses. Our body's designed to do this. So it's kind of exciting. It's like, hey, my body's designed to do this. So if I just keep it up, it's going to be able to it's going to be able to overcome many, many things. And even if you get a little bit of it, that's why I think some people are having mild symptoms and other people are having, not to get right into this, because this is generally speaking, if you have a good immune system, you don't have to worry about stuff. You just don't. And it's kind of like.
One question
I
have is, okay, so Jeff, my husband, was suggesting earlier that they might eventually chip us if we get a vaccine and not chip us if we don't get it, or some kind of weird thing with people getting chipped and being forced to take a vaccine to protect against the virus. What do you think about that?
My opinion about that, well, that's kind of a red flag to me. And maybe a lack of understanding, complete understanding, because I believe we can go through this and help people adapt so that we can get our immune systems to deal with just a strain of a virus that it's just not used to. We are designed to deal with this stuff. I'm not saying it isn't a significant event, absolutely, but it shouldn't need, we don't need to, we are more powerful than that. We do not have to go to that extreme. I mean, geez, I was reading an article this morning about a 100-year-old guy who overcame the coronavirus already. He's 100 years old, 100 years old. Like, it's not about age, it's about what you do inside.
What you think. If you think the virus is going to get you, it will. But if you think you're going to beat it, you will.
That's right. And yeah, speaking of thinking, we can take it right into what kind of neurochemicals our body's creating with our thoughts. This is kind of jumping right into it. Why not?
Yeah.
And so when we have a thought, we're thinking of a memory that we really have an enjoyable or a triumphant kind of time, well, we can start feeling good right in the moment, just as we can start feeling bad in a moment, thinking about something that was traumatic in our lives. And what it's doing is all of a sudden our inner pharmacy, I like calling it the true big pharma, God's pharma, the universe's pharma. It knows what to do. When we're having a happy thought, or we're playing with our dog or our kids or something like that, we get those feelings we get those warm and fuzzies inside, and those feelings are boosting your immune system like crazy. No little pathogen can handle those kinds of, that thrust of good vibration. And it's literally a good vibration if you want to take it into the atomic level. And we'll maybe save that for another day.
Oh, do tell. You've told me the atomic level, and it changed the way I looked at everything in the world. So if you don't, I know it's a long one, but maybe just break it down quickly.
The short version. So put it this way: thoughts are energy. They're a vibration, and when you have a thought, you're actually creating an electrical impulse. And when you have that electrical impulse, let's just continue with the same path. When you're having a happy thought, you're actually triggering the release of oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine. And I mean, those are all, we don't want to get too specific, but they call oxytocin the love hormone. Okay, and it's a hormone that it's something when you just after you've had your baby, or just if you, as you know, something you witness an act of kindness, it actually, you can feel the warmth going through your body. Well, that's a symptom of a good vibration and the release of oxytocin in your body. Just like you can have the release of cortisol going through traumatic situation where you feel like fight or flight, and it's an automatic release right from the hypothalamus and in the middle of your brain, and not to mention the other parts of your endocrine system in your body that release these hormones. I don't know all the very specifics about it. I can be an authority about this and guide people right to the Harvard papers or the
You've told me to take a deep breath, and that triggers it, and that, you know, every day I remember that. Oh yeah, take a deep breath. It works.
Yeah, it does. So you can change your vibration is the short story. There's all kinds of examples. It's just about being aware of when you feel bad and how to turn it around. The atomic level, we'll take it into the atomic level. It's rather interesting. When you recognize things at the atomic level, no, I'm not Don Lincoln from Fermilab. And if there's somebody to check out any of Don Lincoln stuff at Fermilab. It's on YouTube, just Fermilab, Fermi lab, and there's some excellent information in there. And it's just helping recognizing what we're made of. When it gets right down to it, if we were to stop all the vibration of all the particles that we're made of, be atoms, via quarks, leptons, bosons, the components of the nucleus of an atom, which is the very center of an atom, there's a lot of space in that atom. I was telling you this, reminding you about this last night, that how much space there is in an atom, for starters. And the particles in those atoms stop vibrating, they wouldn't reveal themselves. The only reason we can see atoms is because they're moving. If they stop moving, they take up so much space. Just to give you an example, the space, if you took away all the space between all the atoms in your body, between the electron and the proton and all in your body, you could comfortably fit your body behind a grain of sand. In fact, you could comfortably fit your body behind an amoeba. That's how small your body would be without the space.
Like, it'd shrink
yeah,
up.
it's crazy. So, and another thing, and this is straight quote from Don Lincoln from Fermilab, is one of my favorite guys. There's lots of great guys out there, but he's just fun. He's a lot of fun. And fun helps. I think fun makes it easy to remember the things you want to remember. So he talked about it, and recognizing that, again, if you had the nucleus of an atom that was the size of, let's say the size of an orange, the
protons.
The distance between the proton and the electron would be ridiculous. The electron would be flying around the proton at around maybe just about half a click to a kilometer. So that's how much space there is between the proton and the electron. And that's how much space there is between every atom in your body and every atom of everything you see that makes up everything. And I love how exciting that is. Anyway, all those particles are vibrating near the speed of light. So the particles in you are rather timeless, because as you near the speed of light, of course, via theory of relativity, not special relativity, just theory of relativity, is that it's always moving. And we can't even predict where those particles are going to be, because they're always moving. Might be able to say it's going to be here such a percentage, such and such a percentage of the time, or over here or over there. But in the meantime, what we're seeing and what we're feeling is the movement of the electron cloud in its space, traveling near the speed of light in us and everything around us. Bottom line, it's vibrating. And our thoughts have an effect, because there's an electric current every time you have a thought and you're putting it out into your body. It's touching your whole endocrine system. It's touching nature. And it's, as Dr. Bruce Lipton would say, it's actually receptors are like radio receivers and transmitters within our body. Just like being able to feel someone's vibe when they walk into a room. It's like a good vibe or a bad vibe. You can feel it, and our intuition knows it.
Oh yeah, I always try and push a really strong thoughts of I love everyone in here. This is gonna be fun, right?
That's perfect. What a difference. But then you light up a room. That's perfect. That's great. So that's a real quick rundown. So there's a lot of space there. And when you realize how small these things are, and your thoughts definitely have an effect on what's going on. What we're looking for is we're looking for symptoms in ourselves, whether they feel good or bad, and how to listen to them. That's all. And so what I do with my clients, I just sit them down and I tune them into their feelings, and I might take them into some of their traumatic experiences, because what I find as a body worker is those traumatic experiences and those thoughts that get repeated over and over, those programs, they get stuck in the body, and I find them as pain, and people experience them as pain and resistance in tissue itself. So the tissue itself is actually kind of slowing down a little bit. And we want to be able to create some flow. And what we do is remove the dams between all the vessels that bring all that life force through into your body electrically and fluidically.
You're making me miss your massages so much.
We're going to be able to see each other soon.
For everyone listening, I had back surgery in 2011, and it was pretty well healed, but still flaring up every now and then. And then when I met Tim, I literally I've been doing triathlons and all the stuff that the doctors told me I wouldn't be able to do after that. But it was such a transformational experience getting that body work from you. It limbered everything right up.
Well, thank you. You did the big work. That's just a coaxing. It's like an encouraging, and somebody gives themselves the trust to allow what you've done and continue to do. And I'm seeing, just to let you know, this girl, her story is amazing. And I'm watching what she's been able to manifest over the last 9 years since we met. It's been nothing short of inspirational. And for all you who listen to Sasha and tune into Sasha, you're in good hands. She inspires me just with her presence. And it makes me want to go a little bit deeper. Her own standard is very high, and I think we tend to attract the people in our lives we want to mirror. And so thank you, universe, for throwing Sasha into my life. It's been a real blessing, and that continues to be, and I suspect it will continue to do so more in the future. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Tim, what can everyone do, like eating, exercise, meditation, affirmations? Like what are things people should be doing right now?
How about all of the above?
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I guess it's a practice. I like, there's a Buddhist monk who was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Dr. Martin Luther King in 1966, I believe. And his name was Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich Nhat Hanh is still alive today. I believe he's in his mid to late 80s or maybe even early 90s, but he's...
Can I enter? Oh, crap.
Yeah, please.
The door came outside. He makes a lot of noise, but can I, yeah, Polo. Can you tell us a little bit about the monk history and culture as well? Like that was something you told me about the Shaolin monks, and then I really did a lot of exploring it of myself. I was a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan, and they always talk about the Shaolin and some of their songs. And I made a little, in the game Bitcorns, our Tan was the Corn Tang Clan, and it's actually the husband. But it all starts with the Shaolin monks. So maybe just a quick history lesson.
Okay, a quick history lesson. And this will take us right back into into mindfulness. That's where Thich Nhat Hanh mindfulness. We'll leave it there, and we'll come back. The Shaolin monks. I guess I was introduced to the 5-element theory, or the Shaolin monks, and studying at university, religious studies, and did a course. It's ironic because I went to the course initially to prove somebody wrong, and it happened to be my former wife. She did me the biggest favor you could ever imagine, right? And I went to this course to prove her wrong, saying you're wasting your time, and I have to throw that in there because that was my attitude at the time, and I was in my 20s, and so I went to the class. Oh, okay, I'm going to show you how wrong you are. Well, my professor was a former ordained Catholic priest. He's an honored Taoist priest in China, and he also spoke many dialects of Chinese, well, starting with Mandarin and Cantonese. Julian tuned me into the Chinese 5-element theory, and that's where I went. Where are the origins of 5-element theory? Well, it's right into the Shaolin. And the Shaolin are responsible for bringing this incredible knowledge. And so I was studying the 5-element theory in my 20s through Julian, and it was so inspiring. And he inspired me so much in that first day that he took me to a place that made me feel like I was 5 years old again, and I was starting over. It's touching, actually. It was beautiful. It's actually beautiful. And he was just so much fun. He taught me about the uncarved block and how to listen and how to be without creating any more resistance in my own personal environment, and to create joy, and at the very least peace and ease. So the 5-element theory in the Shaolin take you back at the time of the Yellow Emperor, and we're talking about the similar time to the Egyptians, like 3,500 to 5,000 years ago. And the Shaolin have practiced martial arts. They practiced herbology. They did trial and error. A lot of Shaolin monks died trying to help us nourish ourselves to discover the properties of different foods that we consume every day. And through the practice of martial arts and meditation, they discovered the types of foods that help you enhance that process, so that you can enhance your perspective and be a stronger, better, faster human being and creator, ultimately. I love that word, ultimately. So to be the best, expand your, simply this, you expand your perception, you can be the best human being you can be, and be the best creator you can be while you're here, and hopefully pass it on to the next generation, so the next generation can take it from there. But the Shaolin based everything and their observations on truth, and really and ultimately, truth is the way to go. You can try to distract in any way, shape, or form, but the truth always feels bad. It's simple as that. I'm not dissing untruth, but it just simply is. Your intuition will tell you it feels bad. If it's an untruth, it feels bad. If it's a truth, your heart will know immediately. And they do something called, in educational kinesiology, called muscle testing. And this is science talking here. That when somebody's in an untruth and they are muscle tested, they can hold their arm out to their side, and somebody will ask them to tell an untruth, and then they'll see if they can hold their arm up. Well, they won't have the strength to hold their arm up, but if they tell them something, they have a question asked that deals with the truth, and they do that same muscle test, they will be like strong as steel in there. Titanium. Okay. So it's interesting. There's strength behind the truth. Untruth feels weak, and you'll be able to tell it immediately. So if you live in the truth within yourself, even when the truth hurts, I'd rather have the truth hurt me for a short time than something untruthful hurt me for 25 or 35 years or more, or for generations, which has happened on our earth too in many different facets. So back to the Shaolin. It's all about, I'm going to give you a quick history on the 5-element theory, and that's where the 5-element theory was born and where they discovered it. And it's very similar to the periodic table in chemistry. And the elements go as thus: earth, metal, fire, water, and wood. Earth, metal, fire, water, and wood. And each one has a correlating season. Each one has a correlating emotion. Each one has a correlating color. It's interesting, and there's a great book, excellent reference material by Dr. Elson Haas. It's called Staying Healthy with the Seasons, and I've got it lent out to a client right now, so I can't even show it to you, but I pretty much have gone through it a few dozen times, so I figure I know most of it, or aware of most of it anyway, and continue to learn every day. So the 5-element theory, we're right here in spring right now, so let's start with the first element. It's spring. And spring, the element is wood, and the correlating system is your liver, gallbladder. And the emotion is frustration and anger. And it's interesting, there's lots of saber rattling in the world that tends to happen, whether it's on a microcosm or macrocosm, that people get a little bit hung up and uptight in the spring, you know, a little impatient. And it goes with the season, but you're also affecting your liver, and that's the emotion of your liver. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to summer. I think I got most of these pegged down. Summer is fire, and fire is the season of the heart. Summer is the season of the heart and love and embracing, and it's it's a lot of productivity, and it goes with that part. So it's with the heart and that system in your body. And the next season is the fifth season, which we don't really take into account, and that's the late summer. And we can really notice the difference. It's usually around the end of September, and you notice that last month before autumn comes, you notice the sun's way lower on the horizon for those in the northern hemisphere. And there's a change, and there's starting to be more produce coming out, like you're getting all those different foods. Oh, by the way, the emotion with summer is joy. The emotion with late summer is worry. It's a little more than that, but that's what tends to happen. People start getting prepared. They know autumn's coming, and they've got to harvest. They've got work to do. So that's late summer, and it correlates with the digestive system. So and the earth element, of course. And so here's what happens with the digestive system is when you're in that season, your digestive system, the earth element, tends to slow down a little bit. You got to be mindful of the kinds of foods you put into your body. Not everybody needs to know the whole 5-element theory. It's a great reference, and you can reference it quickly and easily, and you can tell by how you feel what you need to do, or what you need to eat, and what exercise you need to do, or who you may need to talk to, or to express, or to get back on track. So that's late summer. Then we're going to go into autumn, and autumn correlates with the element of metal. And grief is the dominant emotion that goes with autumn. And this is the old science of the Shaolin, and it's there. Anybody can go check out 5-element theory. And so large intestine lungs are the systems, and large intestine lungs tend to take a beating in autumn, especially here. It's been hot and dry, or hot and just hot, and then it starts getting cool, and it creates an environment for respiratory infections. And if I ever get a respiratory infection, it's usually in the autumn somewhere. That's just typical for me, but I haven't had one for quite some time. Thank you, and I appreciate the practice and my great teachers who help keep me there, and I honor them every day. So that's autumn and the element of metal, and we're going to go right into winter, the last season, and the element is water, and the system is your kidney and your bladder, and the emotion is fear and anxiety. So in winter, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, especially way north, even our Russian pals and our Finns, Swedes, and Norwegian people, they recognize this a little more, because their fear and anxiety tends to go with winter, because you step outside and you could die. Like you could actually forfeit your life just by not being prepared, because it's minus 30 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit out there.
Oh God, I haven't felt that. Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you're not good for you. Hey man, I like the Wim Hof character. Wim Hof is another. Wim Hof is great. He's cold and recognizes, and I recognize that the cold is good for me. Here's a little fun thing. I leave the window open in my bedroom, like even 6 inches, even when it's minus 35 outside. My bedroom's like a meat locker. Like it's really cold. But I've got this thick down comforter and I want that fresh air. But when I jump in there, it's like it makes me shake and it makes me breathe. And I can feel the warmth in my furnace, my digestive system, heating up in my body. And I love that feeling of feeling that heat going through my body. And all of a sudden I have the deepest, best sleeps. I don't recommend it unless somebody's not ready for it. It's just like having a cold shower. It's a really good shock.
Man.
Yeah, it's a good shock to your system. Just a little thing, a little cold water treatment is a really good thing for those who are just getting started. This is just in a brief, but it's a great thing to wake up your immune system. Your immunity also is have a really hot shower and then slowly turn off the hot to the point where the hot water is almost uncomfortable, like you're feeling overwhelmed by it, and then slowly turn off the hot water to leave nothing but cool, and the cool water will start feeling like relief. That's a good way to get started, and eventually you won't need the hot water step. But it's great to have both. They're like some of my Finnish buddies who like the sauna in Finland. They love jumping in a lake and then jumping in the sauna afterwards. There's there's more saunas per capita in Finland than anywhere else in the world. I think it's like 3.75 million saunas for a population of 5.2 million people. How's that for a stat? For all you stats people out there.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about the 5-element theory and the Shaolin. And the Shaolin practice, we've seen some of our greatest, the roots of all martial arts pretty much start there. Not all of them, but I'd say the lion's share of them in the world. And it's a lifestyle. It's a philosophy to help keep you strong. And that's what it is ultimately. It's not about fighting. In fact, you learn it to not fight, to stop the fight before it even starts.
That's what I always remember from your teachings about them, and it makes me feel safe all the time, was that the Shaolin are the best fighters, hands down, but they never have to fight because they block anyone from coming at them with their intense mental love. And like, you know, that thought allows me to walk in any neighborhood at any time of day. And I knew that inside myself, even as a young girl. Like I used to never be scared to go around at night and stuff. Or, you know, maybe some people would say it's silly, but I just have no fear. I never lock any of my doors. And nothing ever happens from it. And I feel like once you explain that, I was like, oh yeah, that's you just put a force field around and everything's okay.
For sure. No, that's perfect. Good on you. And see, way to listen to, especially if you have that memory, you can actually look at what you already have. And something that I've also shared with my clients is that we already have within us what we need. We don't need to, what we're doing here is just kind of waking up what's already in there. And so the work is really easy. And what I do my best to do in my presentation to people when I first have my first timers especially, is to just tune them into what they already know and what they're already conscious of and aware of. And then we take it from there and help them remember the strength they already have within themselves and to take it to the next step. And then it just takes a little bit of repetition, just like anything you want to remember, like a good song or memorizing a poem or a few lines from your Broadway musical, things like that.
I always have some
that meme,
yeah.
For sure. So yeah, it's just about helping you tune into yourself again, to be your best advocate, your own best doctor. Nobody knows you better than you do already. And back to Thich Nhat Hanh, is that a pretty good segue right there?
Mm-hmm.
Is mindful breathing. You started off with right there. It's some really good quality breathing. That's something we can help right now. If you were anybody's to take 10 nice, slow, deep breaths, just to really, and one of the things that I was taught through my education, particularly at the Institute of Psychostructural Balance in San Diego, which is also the International Professional School of Bodywork, which is no longer exists because the founder retired, and he's Dr. Ed Mopin. And you can also check out Dr. Ed Mopin, emope.com. I think it's edmopin.com. He's a pretty popular guy. I don't know if he used to write for publications and speaking universities. He's a pretty amazing guy. And spent time at Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California. Is recognizing the body, the manifestation of your life. I'm kind of going from one thing to the next. but recognizing your body is a biography of everything that you've ever done and thought about, and it comes to a manifestation of the consciousness that is your physical self. You can you can take out the resistance, that hardness that's in that tissue, and by addressing it and bringing love to it. That's kind of going a little bit all around, but I didn't mean to. But that's basically it. Some incredible teachers. And so this is, again, coming back to being your own best advocate, coming back to Thich Nhat Hanh, mindful breathing, 10 good deep breaths, solid, and to be slow, and to also emphasize a little more on your exhale, not your inhale. Your inhale is automatic if you exhale well.
What happens when we breathe? Like, what are we breathing in? What are we breathing out?
Some good stuff and some letting out some bad stuff. Actually, the plants want your bad stuff, so it's good stuff for them, and we love our plants. It's a beautiful cycle. So when we're breathing in, we're obviously breathing in oxygen, the life-giving force that's in every cell firing in our body, all those 50 trillion cells in your body, to help create the heat or the energy, the energetic reaction that's creating that body temperature in you at 98.6 Fahrenheit. And I think that's what it is these days. But it's a little fire that's going on. It's really cool. So part of that fire is no different than the fire you have when you're roasting marshmallows and creating your s'mores. So you want to regulate that. And anyway, part of the regulation, but you also need some other things. You need your breath, and that's combined with fat, and the fat in your body, you need that. It's important, vital, and also glycogen, which is sugar stores that we have in our liver from the consumption of complex carbohydrates like rice and potatoes and any grains in our lives. So I know this is still talking about the breath, but so that's when we inhale, that's providing the medium for the finishing of that cell firing in all those 50 trillion cells in your body. And then when we exhale, what our cells do is actually eliminate the ash and debris that happens from that little fire, and then it needs to be expelled so that we get rid of it. And so that's what's leaving. You're leaving all the toxicity that happened after that fire. It's just like watching the smoke, kind of like watching the smoke leave the fire that you're having to roast those marshmallows. Everyone needs a fire to roast the marshmallows.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things to do, right?
So much happens, we don't think about it, and our bodies, igniting 50,000 or million fires in each cell to like move.
Exactly. But it's all regulated, and every one of them gets the same treatment. It's quite amazing to see the miracle that's going on within us. First of all, here's another thing. It's just to recognize there's a miracle going on here. 50 trillion cells doing a dance to make up you, to make up the consciousness that is you. It's an amazing thing. When we honor it and have reverence for it, good. That's one of the things that happens from the Shaolin and the Taoist philosophy that comes from the Shaolin and Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, which is one of my favorite reads in all the chapters in that book, is to recognize what you are. And one of the things that the Shaolin do is they honor energy, and it's no different than someone in a religion honoring God. What is God but everything that is? So what is energy but everything that is? It's like the same answer. Here's a really neat thing: is that the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who brought us transcendental meditation, got together 25 physicists and 25 spiritualists and asked them similar questions, like what is God, and then asked the scientists what is energy, and they came up with a list of 25 things each. And what was interesting is that the answers were identical. It's pretty cool. So we're just talking about energy. When you have reverence for energy, what you are and everything around you, it doesn't matter whether it's a pile of dung or whether it's a flower. Really, the seeds in that dung turn into the flower, so the universe wants our shit, so to speak. And so we're not supposed to hang on. We're not designed to hang on to it. Get it out of there so something else can use it. It's called entropy, the continual transformation of energy, which is always turning into another thing, the next step of its evolution through its journey through the universe.
Can you tell us about what is it where things are commingled, or what is that one where the proton can be together and then separate on two parts of the world?
Oh, we're talking about entanglement?
Yeah, that plus you told me a story about some kind of, it's several years now, but it's one I remember a lot too, but I remember it not quite identical. But you know, there was a board of people's faces or something, and it was shown to some people in Australia, and no one could find it. And then once they saw it, then it was shown to another group who had never seen it. But because the knowledge was already in the Australian group's head, it's thought that that's why this second group was able to identify the faces really quickly.
I believe that experiment happened with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I believe it had to do with him, or I heard him explaining it. Yeah, it's like every thought goes out into the field. And what is the field? The field is everything that is. It's the fabric of space-time plus. It's like there's no gaps, no spaces, everything. There's no emptiness of nothing. There's always something. Even the fabric of space-time has a little bit of mass. It, albeit extremely, extremely small, but there is some there. So it's like there's a sinew or filaments that really touch everything. So once you have a thought, it's actually kind of, according to some lot of research, actually, some wonderful science, you can definitely do some great reference with Dr. Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and all these doctors, and Dr. Bruce Lipton. Fantastic. In fact, I've got Bruce's book right here, The Biology of Belief. It shows you what is happening to you chemically inside, and what's happening at that level of genetics when you're having thoughts, and what you can do to change, recognizing that you can change your thoughts to change the neurochemical, it can be a neurochemical concoction of badness or goodness, whichever one you'd like it to be. So this is about creating that goodness. So yeah, so entanglement, it kind of touches upon entanglement, that particles that have been close to one another start to share the same energetic properties. And that you can take one particle and it can have a spin we don't want to get into all the science, but it can have a spin that's either up or down. And once you measure that spin of that let's call it a photon in this case, and they have its twin or its counterpart over, let's say, the other side of the world. And I think Dr. Michio Kaku actually talked about this too, and they did this experiment. Whenever they measured the one photon and it had a spin of up, well, the other one would always be at a spin down. And if they measured again and this one was at a spin down, then the other one would be at a spin up. It was as if they were communicating instantaneously. And there's lots of great knowledge about this out there. I also listened to Matthew O'Dowd on PBS Space-Time, I think it's called. Great program. Matt is an amazing guy. And yeah, there's lots of great information out there to help you recognize this. But on some level, when you're having a thought, energy is moving one way or the other, and just recognizing the quality of that vibration or energy that's flowing through you. I'm kind of got a little digressive. I love digressing into these things. There's so much to talk about.
There is.
So that's entanglement. And so really, in a way, they all talk about, it's funny, this is my own personal perspective, and I may as well throw that in there, but if everything started from one infinitesimally small point that we call the Big Bang, and then it all expanded, well, doesn't that mean that every part in the entire universe is entangled if it was that close at one time? So that means everything is touching everything, whether we realize it or not. It's just something to ponder, not something that's concrete or written in stone. It's just something to ponder. And I think intuitively, we recognize there's an element of truth in that. And so just like anybody's had the experience of thinking about a friend that they haven't thought of for months. Geez, how's Joe doing? How's Jillian doing? And all of a sudden they call you or they email you or you get a hold of them, and not within minutes, it's within seconds even of your thought. So I'm not just saying it. I'm not saying it's entanglement, but it's kind of fun to ponder. You and I have had many moments like that where we might have chatted for a month or two. Geez, how's Sasha doing? Ring, holy smokes, here she is. Anyway, it's fun. It helps us to even have more fun, I think, in the observation of our existence while we're here and to enjoy this incredible miracle. And it's all about creating memories. We can't keep anything else other than those. So if my job is to create good memories, that's all I have to do. And I'm going to bring love into those memories every time. And there's a little foundation. Can I share the foundation with you that I share with everybody who walks in my front door?
Oh, for sure.
And this is to help everybody out there. And it's just to feel this. Everyone just get to feel this, okay? And it has a definition, and it involves breath, love, and energy. So I'm going to like to think of this definition as putting all those in a synonymous way so that they all share the same definition. Breath, love, and energy. The force that interconnects and creates everything that is. It's the force that interconnects and creates everything that is. And it has the qualities of being, with a capital B. That's you. You're the being. and every other being out there. It has the qualities of being unconditional and compassionate, accepting and non-judgmental. It's virtuous of all things, for it is all things. It's forgiving. It's kind. It's grateful. It's honest. It's patient. Humble. 100% integrity. Humility. And will always follow through in goodness. And if somebody's definition of love doesn't have those properties in it, it isn't love. And it's good to recognize that. Like going through a breakup, well, I'll never love again. No, that means you probably weren't loving in the first place. And not just of your partner, of yourself. I mean, what makes us attractive? Well, what makes us attractive when we love ourselves, we nurture ourselves, we take care of ourselves. Sasha was showing me before we got started a couple of shifts she was making in her little studio setting, and I was like, oh, that's so good, and I could feel her creating. Whenever Sasha gets creating, it's fun and exciting. Oh, look out, here comes something good's gonna happen. There's a wave, another wave of goodness is coming. So anyway, I just have to share that.
For a second about the creative stuff. Now, yes. You wouldn't think the legal world is that creative, but it is. You got to, you got to be very creative on how to approach some of these things.
Navigating through shark-infested waters.
Yeah. So I was feeling, a lot of my clients were feeling tension around fundraising deals breaking down right now. Like,
right.
No one
yes, of course.
investing in a startup, it doesn't seem. So we figured out a way in 2017 or 18 with Bitcoin to raise a lot of money without the traditional finance system. In fact, in 2017, the ICO, the amount of money that was mobilized through that was higher than venture capitalism. But it was all deemed kind of illegal by the SEC, and a lot of it led to, sadly, a lot of scams happened, and people didn't fully there were also a lot of people that didn't fully understand the technology, so they might have thought they were buying an investment where they had more rights than what were really assigned with the tokens. And there were companies that thought they could do things with the tokens that it turned out they couldn't do. But now we're 3-4 years past that craze, and the market's kind of immobilized because of the regulation. But the SEC has put out a path through 2 no action letters where people can sell tokens, but the tokens can just give you access to something. So I started thinking, okay, maybe I can get all my clients together and we can do some kind of access token that will help them raise money. But it's a long shot, and where are the investors going to come from? So it was kind of like trying to figure out a path there. But then this CARE Act that's coming out, so it looks like the government is just going to give everyone loans where they can pay their employees, pay any debts that they have, and suspend any monthly payments. So, I mean, I thank the 1,300 people who have succumbed to the virus to allow that. Yeah, that's not the right way to phrase it, but it seems like they're shutting the whole economy down over, so far, 1,300 deaths in this country, but we don't know what's coming, I suppose. So these protective measures might be the right thing. We just don't know. But anyway, but I think I can make my personal mission to get all my clients their applications in on time and filed for this loan, which looks like it's just going to be free money. So I don't know how I got, and being creative. The other thing that just came out, so I'm trying to think of creative ways to benefit from this weird situation for me and everyone else. I try not to go into a business deal unless it's beneficial for both parties. That's one of my mottos. But the other thing is, there's a new settlement rule from the CFTC, and it looks like we might be able to. So FinCEN and the CFTC both could have jurisdiction over Bitcoin settlements. Bitcoin's a commodity, so it is governed by the Commodities and Futures Trading Association. But FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency, FinCEN, they also govern all the money transmission. But when you're with FinCEN, you're required then to go to every state and get either an exemption or a big study done of whether you need a state license for money transmission. But if we can get the people that are doing money transmission to be considered under the Commodities Exchange Act, they would not need to go to every state and do that. So it's a huge streamline. So I feel like it's fun when new things come, you know, and the creativity, it can expand to any area, like making my backyard felt creative, but also if I can figure out a way to avoid money transmission regulation, which is, you know, and put it into a streamlined CFTC regulation, that will be creative, but it will be very helpful for everyone. So for everyone like that, you know, that figures it out. So anyway, that's we'll bring some wanted to bring a little bit into the podcast, you know. But
sure. How about this? Microcosm, macrocosm. One creative idea flows into the next.
Yeah.
This does, so that it might start with something really small, like making your dog or cat happier, and all of a sudden you're helping people across the United States get money when they've lost their income. You know, that's beautiful. But it all starts from feeling happy. If you're feeling down, you're probably not bound to feel like solving any problems. You're probably more than likely end up staying there and creating a vibration inside of you that creates dis-ease. It's just the difference between creating ease or dis-ease. And that's all dis-ease is a lack of ease. Dis-ease. We want ease. So ease is good. Ease tends to help you be more creative, and there's, we're all in a situation where we need to, perhaps, so like myself included, but fortunately you have a couple of multiple streams of income. It might be small, but I'm still looking good, and I've got people reaching out to me too to asking for help, which has presented an opportunity at the grandest scale. And the people right now really need some guidance, and what we can do is bring our best intention with the best of our knowledge to be able to help people and start maybe loving on this planet, the most powerful force we have within ourselves. And we tend to put it on the back burner when we're upset, and when it tends to be more powerful than our anger, our fear. Definitely. What is fear? It's just false evidence appearing real. That's all fear is. So here's to recognizing that we have some power within us, that the power that creates worlds within us, for goodness sake. Quote from one of my favorite teachers out there. For anybody who's an Abraham Hicks fan, by all means, head over and Abraham Hicks publications, and it basically talks in general terms all these things that we've been sharing today too. It just kind of a means of being able to help put it in there consistently, so that it becomes second nature to us. And the thing is, it is second nature. We just may have been programmed through either our parents, schools, media, friends, any programs that have been lingering through generations of perhaps untruth. It's just coming back to the money thing a little bit. It's just like the energy. What is energy? Energy, that someone's energy expended, it turns into money, right? I believe. Isn't that not right? So really, all the money is representation of is the energy of somebody's labor, basically. And then that money is stored somewhere, and to try to give it value, and you might equate it to gold or silver or things that had our commodity that gave it value. But really, it started as somebody's backbreaking work.
What you just said there rings so true right now with the printing. You said money is energy that represents someone's work. And when you're just printing a money printer, you know, the meme money printer.
That's right, exactly.
What energy is going into that money? Or does it matter? Like the energy that it takes to get, say, the Canadian oil versus the Saudi Arabian oil out of the earth is a lot more energy in our part of the world. But the oil is the same in the end, or like how does the energy go into it?
Well, put it this way, for those people who aren't quite familiar, I know that in Saudi Arabia, it costs about approximately $6. And this is, I guess you can go to Forbes, there's some great papers on this, but it costs about $6 a barrel to Saudi Arabia to produce a barrel of oil. In Canada, at Fort McMurray in northern Alberta, it costs up to between $60 and $70 a barrel to produce a barrel of oil, because it's all stuck into the tar sands and they have to remove it somehow. So it's equated in terms of energy. It takes half a barrel of oil to create a barrel of oil. in Fort McMurray. So it's a really dirty process. No judgment against it. It's just a really dirty process in comparison. I mean, it is a fossil fuel, and once you burn it, it's going to create some CO2 and carbon monoxide also. So it just is what it is, I guess. But I believe that we can take it into the next phase, and there's some really good people out there who are taking. Hey, there's the Elon Musks in the world, and the Matty Remax of the world, who's providing technology for Porsche and BMW and Aston Martin and Tesla, and it's pretty neat. So there's some wonderful folks out there that are taking these ideas, and it's time for us to give them some support. And another real simple one is as humankind, I love this statement. You know, together we stand, divided we fall. I mean, I've always done better with a team than just on my own. I can do pretty good on my own. There's no doubt about it. But whenever I get together in a team, one of the reasons I enjoyed football, when our team was well-oiled, man, we could walk over anybody. It was great. And you know what team sports are like too. You've been part of a team. You've
that rowing boat when
this
you
girl's
get
a hardcore athlete, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
She could give me some rowing, give me a rowing tutorial to get me brushed up again. I got to get back to the club.
It's just the way the oar hits the water. If it all goes in like perfectly and then back a little and then forward, all 8 blades, it's such a beautiful thing.
Poetry. Oh, that sounded good. Sounded like acceleration to me. She must.
Yeah, I shouldn't have muted it. There's these guys driving around on these 4-wheelers with masks on, in a gang of 20 of them, and they're all doing like handstands on it. I always videotape them every time they go by and wave at them. They like the dog.
Good. Somebody's having fun.
They are having a ball out there.
It isn't all doom and gloom out there. But
they look really scary, Tim. They've got like masks on
and
with
it's covering their faces.
And yeah.
They
like being scary. I think it's fun for them.
It's the enduro masks that they wear. It's the same thing that dirt bikers wear, and that's just for their own protection. It looks scary.
It looks like Mad Max.
I was gonna say it looks a little like Mad Max around here. There's no copyright stuff. It looks a little like Mad Max. That's okay. I got my Cali right here. Some of my 5-element tea right here.
Oh, I miss my Cali. I gotta get.
You get some Cali right away.
Tell everyone about Cali.
Okay, Cali was a formula designed by the Shaolin monks, picked up by Dr. Tao Te Ching and his family. That knowledge was left from dozens of generations on jade tablets that his family happened to have in Taiwan. He went through an incredible story, but I'll save that for another time. Perhaps, but basically, he's made these formulas that was developed by the Shaolin monk. We call it Cali, or I'm part of the Sunrider family too, but we call it Cali. And what it was designed to do is to help people focus, help with focus during the practicing of martial arts and meditation. And there's actually no tea in it, but it nourishes your body at a cellular level so that the cells can eliminate optimally. And when your cells are eliminating optimally, you're getting rid of that toxicity, that smoke and ash from that little bonfire that's going on.
You get rid of the corona with it, Tim?
As long as there's lime in it, right? Yeah, she got it. Anyway, so yeah. So Sunrider is a wonderful company, and it's a company founded by Dr. Tao Te Ching and his wife, who's also been president of the company. They're both doctors. She's a physician, and he was into the pharmacy. I think his degrees in pharmaceuticals, and as a pharmacist. But also he's had more than beyond that. But what Sunrider does is it's a company that follows the 5-element theory verbatim. When I was studying the 5-element theory with Dr. Julian Paz, that's when my former wife and myself discovered Sunrider. And it was like, wow, you mean there's somebody making these foods? And then when I first got into Sunrider, I first got into the 5-element theory. I was spending a lot of time in the kitchen, like somewhere between 2 to 4 hours a day. And I really didn't have 2 to 4 hours a day to spend unless I was going to do this for a living, which I kind of am right now, which has kind of helped pay for itself. And there's even some recipes. Maybe I'll throw one in at you, or maybe we'll get you to throw one out online somewhere so you can share it with your people. So easy 15 to 30 minute quick meals that are absolutely delicious and nutritious. But Sunrider's a company that follows the 5-element theory and has foods for every system in your body for all those 5 elements I was telling you about. And it's basically to NBC, is to nourish, balance, and cleanse, and not National Broadcast Corporation. Nourish, balance, and cleanse. And you nourish yourself with certain food. We call it New Plus. I won't get into the details because we could spend an hour on this alone. But it's called New Plus. It's complex carbohydrate and protein in perfect balance. And then you balance with something called a quinary. It's all those 5. There's 5 formulas for every one of those 5 elements. And what they do is create harmony within the systems in your body, like 5 horses. Dr. Chen uses 5 horses as an example. If you had one ill horse, well, then the other 4 horses suffer. You want all horses to be healthy. So it creates a cycle of regeneration. And that's another key word. It's a regenerative cycle in your body, not just trying to heal. I want to regenerate. When I'm regenerating, I'm in a state of balance. If I'm healing, that means I'm hurt or traumatized somehow, and I have to get over that. So if we're in a state of regeneration, all 5 elements work in harmony together, well, then we thrive. We thrive inside. So we nourish with New Plus. We balance with the quinary, or the 5 elements, and you can actually buy them, the formulas, all 5 together, or you can buy them separately. And they actually have there's a formula we call Alpha 20C, and it's for the wood element, where we're in right now, spring, and it's for your immune system. It's all about immunity. And when you're nourishing yourself well, your immunity goes way up, and viruses don't have a hope against a healthy body. It just doesn't. Viruses are weak compared to the strength of your immune system if you're in balance. So when we're out of balance, that can be testy. And then we cleanse with this. We don't cleanse. The body cleanses at a cellular level. It nourishes the body at a cellular level so that you eliminate optimally. And we call it Cali. And I love it. I've been drinking it since 1987. And when I had my first huge epiphany through that whole experience, I had one incredible experience. Like you might even want to save that for another day. We'll see. Look for some feedback. We'll save you a story. Otherwise, I could tell another 25 minutes of stories. They're all good stories, really. Oh, we're done.
Sorry. I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
We're just around the hour mark, which is usually like a...
Okay, well, let's... any final... Yeah, go ahead.
What can... Just a quick, concise, maybe 3 tips for people to do at home to keep themselves sane and healthy through the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. First and foremost, we're doing it all the time. Breathe. Breathe with quality. Breath is love. Breath is love. Without the next breath, you're out of here. Okay, unless you can hold your breath for 4 minutes, you got 4 minutes. Well, then breath is love. Secondly, just be mindful of what you eat. Even if you don't know exactly what to eat, chew your food really, really, really well. Just be extremely grateful for that bite of food that you're having. And when you chew your food to sauce, it goes through you like sauce, and you get all that energy. It's like putting premium into your Porsche. Okay, you don't want to put lumps of coal into your car. You want to, especially with a Porsche, you want to be able to have easy access to all that nutrition. The more surface area you expose, and all those lovely enzymes that are in you between your teeth, like 80% of digestion happens right here, not down here. Chew your food well. And for me, it's easy. I just want to enjoy my food, and I like treating every bite like it's my last. So there's 2 things. And the third thing is let love make your decisions. If you're not making a decision in love, and that definition I gave earlier, you're probably going to you might create a little resistance in your life. So it's all love, love, and love. Breath is love. It all starts from there. And thank you for this opportunity to be able to share and have fun with you and sharing this, Sasha.
I am always uplifted every time I talk with you, Tim, so I appreciate it.
Cheers, likewise. Likewise.
All right, thanks,
okay,
everyone.
Take care, everyone. Blessings. You got it going on out there. More power to you. Love all day.